talk about the Dickey slip fly. This is something I started using when they came out with thingamabobbers. Thingamabobbers is a strike indicator. They came out and it's trapped air, and they punched a copper grommet in it. And what made this unique right off the bat, when I started using them, I noticed that the line slid through them so easy. And typically with slip floats, which I use a lot and they work really good for fishing deep water, wouldn't work well in light current because you need too much weight to pull the line through the slip. So when they came out with these, the way they float in the water, the line just slides through the copper real easy, so it doesn't hang up. And when you're nymphing, you don't need very much weight to get down to the bottom, and so these ended up working perfect. You could use just a little bit of weight and it would slide through. And the trapped air is more buoyant than foam, so in high water, fast water, they ride high, they don't sag, they don't dip when you hit a rock, they stay on the top of the surface, and they have a bunch of different sizes. And it works really good on a fly rod. It also works good on a spinning rod. You just got to tie on a bobber stop if you're going to be using a spinning rod. But what you have to do is you have to have a continuous leader with no knots and no burrs on it. Nothing that the float will hang on, because it's going to slide through your line. So standard nymphing, 2 times your depth of water, 1.5 times your depth. Today we've got 4 generators going. We're going to be fishing 9, 10, 11 foot of water, so we're talking about an 18-foot leader. And so what I do is I either use a braid, and the braid does give a little bit resistance, or like today I've got on 8-pound fluorocarbon, and I've got on a let's see, today we've got on a 20-foot leader, and then in the end I've spliced in some Tippet, and I've got my weight. It's a AAA and a number 1. And what you want to do is, it's real important that once you get it out there, you feed your line out, and you can't tug on it. Boat control is real important. You don't, every time you tug on it, it slides away from the end of your fly line. And when you get a bite, you want your fly line against your strike indicator. When you get a bite, it'll pull it under. If the grommet slides over your loop to loop, then you just put on a pulse float, and that'll give your fly line a little more buoyancy, and then the slip float can't pass through it. But you got to have the slip float up against your indicator. So we have our leader, and because it's on a slip fly, we can reel all the leader up into the pole. So you want to start peeling out your leader, and just use the surface tension to help work your line out. It gets a little sticky when you get to your fly line. You just need to use that surface tension to pull it out. And you gotta help bring it through. And you can't see your bite until you get your fly line all the way to your indicator. And that's what's going to show your bite. So once you get that down there, you want to just do what you can to leave your fly line up against your strike indicator. I used this a lot in 2008 when we had all the high water, and again this year with all the high water. And we use it quite a bit when we have 4 generators in the afternoon, and a lot of times in the morning.
Now, do you keep the bobber that close to the boat?
No, you don't have to. You can pick it up and you can throw it out there a ways and feed it fly line. You don't have to keep it close to the boat. It's easier to manage. So we just
feed that line.
Feeding the line back through the indicator, and if you'll just kind of lift up and let it come through, it'll work a lot better for you. Sometimes it's hard to get the fly line through your guide. You just got to reach up and pull it through and get your fly line started from out of your guides. I actually changed the end of my loops to loops a little bit just because I do this a lot, and I put on amnesia on the end, and then I put UV knot sense on it and made real smooth knots and where my customers is, and that fish takes off running, this will come through the guides without letting the line break. That UV knot sense, you just works real good. It stays real smooth. After you miss a bite, just help feed it back through again. Instead of having to stop there, I can come through my guides and I can get it to the net, especially if I'm by myself. That's a better fish. Oh, see, now he's pulling my fly line through the guides. He's taking off running again now, so that's why I put that UV knot sense on there, so it doesn't hang up when you get a bigger fish and he takes off running. And especially in the heavier current, they can really use it against you and go for several runs. So it's important to do something to smooth down the knots on your fly line. And I'm still, even though look how fat that is, even though it's heavy water, high current, I still am using 5X Tippet on the end. They still won't tolerate heavy line.